I should. Robot. Second clicking.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Six Steel City Rings podcast. I am Ray Whiting. With me, I have Bob Quinn and Zach Franciscus. We are doing a recap of the second preseason game at Acrisure Stadium. The Steelers went down to the Buffalo Bills 9-3. It was basically a defensive game, and we're going to talk about the ins and outs of tonight's game. Guys, let's get it started right now. Starting off with Russell Wilson and his play. This is something that we were looking forward to because he didn't play in the first preseason game. So, guys, let's talk about Russell Wilson. Bob, I know you got a lot to talk about. I'm passing on to you.
Well, I think we saw exactly what we didn't want to see. We saw the Denver version of Russell Wilson. Check down Charlie. I understand he didn't have a lot of protection to go down the field. But at the same time, he also had times where he could have gone down the field, and he just checked it down through those quick passes. I was really they had kind of a third and medium, and he threw that little pass underneath. Or actually, I should say it wasn't medium. It was like 3rd and 15, and he threw the little dump off to Jaylen Warren, hoping that Jaylen Warren can make the play. Does Jaylen Warren make those plays? He absolutely does. But we needed to see some chemistry down the field with the wide receivers. And then this is the exact complaint that guys like Mark Schlereth and Shannon Sharp had when they were talking about Russell Wilson. It didn't help that the offensive line was really not good, especially Broderick Jones. And I thought James Daniels played very poorly as well. But at the same time, you know, he said in his press conference after, hey, my calf feels good. Well, if your calf felt good, why weren't you rolling away from the pressure? You're a guy who is known for, taking a little bit deeper drop and being able to avoid and make people miss. I understand it's the preseason. You don't want to run around, but how about a little bit of something? I can't fault Arthur Smith too much because we didn't see the boot action that he's kind of known for. I think he's saving that for the regular season. But the Steelers' number one offense has looked pretty bad the last 2 games. Now, compared to the last preseason where they were perfect, maybe this is a great sign. But I did not like what I saw from Russell Wilson at all. It's exactly what I didn't want to see. It's why I was not a fan of him coming here at the beginning. And he kind of swayed me with the reports out of practice. But if this is what he's doing in practice and these are the passes he's going to throw, bring on Justin Fields. Hell, give Cameron Johnston a shot at quarterback at this point.
I'm hoping it's like in the theater where when the dress rehearsal is terrible, the show itself is going to be amazing. That's what I'm hoping. Because honestly, I don't really feel one way or the other on this. I don't feel confident about it, but I don't feel that we have seen literally anything from the first offense. Nothing. I don't know who they are. There's been so halts and penalties, and Broderick Jones had a terrible game. I mean, last game I was hoping that he just felt a little uncomfortable and he'd get into it. But me and Bob were talking in prep. This is not what a plug-and-play guy should look like, and we need to take that seriously and stop shifting all of this around. Because I feel like it was a ripple effect, and that's why maybe James Daniels started to feel off, because if Broderick Jones couldn't handle his thing, then when it just kept shifting inside, because all game, no matter what set of tackles was in, no offensive tackle for the Steelers played well. And so there's ripple effects where all I'm seeing is negative, and there's not enough consistency for me to even know if that's who we are.
Yeah, I thought James Daniels punched a hole in the dam early with the first sack, and then it just went downhill from there. And Broderick, immediately started getting crushed. I know Arthur Moats talked a little bit about the fact that Greg Rousseau, the guy going up against him, former first-round pick, against Broderick Jones. Different body type. Broderick goes against TJ. He goes against Alex. He goes against Herbig. He has a significant size advantage on all of those guys. They are shorter, squatter, fast burst rushers. Okay. he struggled with the tall, long arms push off, and then with the speed, he's getting beat on the outside, punched, and then and then the sacks were coming from the inside because they had him off balance. So I think you're exactly right, Zach. He's not. Broderick is probably as close to a plug and play guy as we got, but this is exactly what I've been talking about. You cannot rely on a second-year player. 1 minute I'm playing the right side, 1 minute I'm playing the left side. I don't know where I'm playing. I don't know what's going on. And now all of a sudden he's getting beat by guys because he's not comfortable out there. Reps are important. Get him in a position, leave him there. It should be on the left side. It is what it is. But, tonight, I can't imagine he could have looked worse.
Well,
I know, Ray, on a scale.
Go ahead. Zach? Go ahead.
I was just curious, Ray. Simple, just on a scale of 1 to 10, where is your worry level right now for the Steelers?
My worry level right now is at a 7. Okay, I'm going back a little.
Oh, goodness.
On the 7. And the reason why, because going back to Russell Wilson, and I don't mean to go backwards, but Russell Wilson to me, that offense in the first half, it looked like the ghost of Matt Canada was lingering around Acrisure Stadium. The little
a lot of people were saying that.
It was really lethargic. I mean, it was like a continuation from last year. And I just did not understand that. And again, of course, when Russell Wilson came to Pittsburgh, we thought it was a new, fresh air of life, new life in the quarterback.
Well, half of us did.
I was going to say, Ray, I mean, I don't know. I didn't think Russell Wilson was a breath of fresh air. I thought he was an improvement over Kenny Pickett.
Well, but comparing to Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, and well,
honestly, from what I saw tonight, I'd rather have Mason Rudolph.
Oh, I agree with you, Joe, on that. I agree with you 1,000%. And then you look at Roger Jones
over Russell Wilson, not Justin Fields.
But okay, again, but to bring Russell Wilson in, that's great. I mean, I think it's good. At the same time, Broderick Jones, again, he got blown off the ball badly. I mean, he looked embarrassed out there. I mean, it was he got his lunch money taken.
He was off his game.
Yeah. And so with that being said, of course, the offensive line, I mean, Russell Wilson got sacked 5 times. He stayed in the pocket. He won't run. He won't run out of the pocket.
It seemed like he couldn't.
I mean, he was just standing there. So, again, my worry level is at a 7 right now, and I don't expect coming next week against the last preseason game. I don't expect him to get any better, but we'll see come week 1 against Atlanta.
How can you not expect him to get any better? He's played way better in the regular season last year, right? He's not going
as an offense, as an offense as a whole. I know what Roger Jones is going to do individually.
The offense is not going to go weeks without scoring a touchdown. They're not.
I hope not.
Arthur Smith is too good of an offensive coordinator for that. He is not showing anything on the field. And I will say this, our friend Dave over at Steelers Sanctuary tweeted out a few minutes ago, if the Steelers don't get Brandon Ayuk, this offense is going to need to start Justin Fields and hope he runs for 2,000 yards. And if they're going to struggle on the edges in pass protection, you need Justin Fields' legs.
I agree. No, as much as I don't, because I legitimately said from the beginning, if Justin Fields starts, it means something has gone terribly wrong. But we're at that point where we've had the injury. And then we had the fact that Justin Fields started to play really well. And now we have that Russell Wilson hasn't looked good. And Justin Fields showed his legs tonight. I was talking to Ray before that the only time I remember seeing Justin Fields up close was when we played him in that weird, almost tie game thing. And I remember thinking he was impressive. I thought he was much better than I thought he was going to be, and I underestimated him. So I hadn't really seen him outside. He is so much faster than I thought he was. Mm-hmm. And his legs are so much more dangerous than I thought they could be. And so even if his arm is a little iffy, I completely agree with you. If we're going to have liabilities on the offensive line, which Mike Tomlin during his presser said that was not what they could accept. They actually are going to address that specifically. He called out the whole pass protection unit. You can't have that and expect to have a season that's going to be successful with Russell Wilson. So the only thing you can do is give it to Justin Fields and hope he can run it and win.
Yeah, you can just tell. I mean, the body language of Russell Wilson, just that he gets out on the field and he's not dynamic anymore. He's just not. I don't know if he lost confidence in Denver, but it was kind of happening his last year in Seattle. That's why Seattle wasn't exactly, fighting Denver very hard to get, hey, you want to give us some stuff? And, hey, you want to give us a lot of stuff? Yeah, sure, take him, sign him. What could go wrong? Well, we saw what could go wrong. And I think you could see what Sean Payton got frustrated with. Arthur Smith is not as quick a read. Like Sean Payton has a lot of pre-snap reads he expects people to make, like Drew Brees, for example. Arthur Smith kind of gives his quarterbacks a little more post-snap stuff with his boot action, which they weren't doing in the play action. Russell Wilson you could see it in his body language. He just doesn't seem to want to uncork it. Yeah, okay, a couple of times, but there were a couple plays where he had time in the pocket. Frustrated the heck out of me. The Jaylen Warren short pass really was a microcosm for me. I saw what I thought I saw in Denver. You have third and I think it was 13. You send guys down the field, and instead of pushing it downfield and seeing what happens, it wasn't, and he didn't give it a lot of time. It was boom, look, okay, dump it. And yeah, and sometimes Jaylen Warren will make that play. I mean, he ended up, coming within 3 or 4 yards of the first down. But bottom line is, if Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris are going to be our leading receivers, and if Russell Wilson plays like this, they're going to be, we got problems.
That's what my
That's true. Speaking really quick about running back, since you said that, a quick shout out. LaMichael Prin stood out tonight to me. Had some consistency. I didn't know he had a couple good bursts. So we need a spell back because I don't know what Cordell Patterson's going to do. So shout out to LaMichael Prin because I could see him making a push for that right now because we got some injuries all over the place there.
Yes, the swing pass to me again. I'm tired of that, and that one to Patterson. I mean, I'm thinking, oh, I was cussing. I look. I said
Well, they only did one, right? I only saw one in the game, right?
I don't like it because again, to me,
it's free. It's free.
If you don't do a swing pass, the person who will catch the ball has to speed on him. And Cordell, he doesn't have that. He don't have the speed on him. I'm sorry, he doesn't. He just doesn't.
Yes, he does. He's the best kick returner in the history of the NFL. He isn't slow. The swing pass is a staple of the Arthur Smith offense. So if you don't like it, you better get used to it because it's a play he runs a lot. Now, that being said, he doesn't telegraph it as bad. And I put that on Russell Wilson. Everybody in the stadium knew what they were doing. And Russell Wilson, instead of just saying, okay, hey, wait a minute, this is developing too slow, let me chuck it down the field, checks it over to Cordell Patterson, and hey, who cares if we lose 2 yards?
And I think we have the offensive coordinator to recognize that it's not that what individual characteristics of that play is bad. Like, hey, Cordell Patterson there, we had the blocking. If he could have gotten into there, he would have made the right read. So I think Matt Canada would have just said, oh, okay, we'll try it again next time. So I'm thinking, number one, Ray, you have to remember Cordell Patterson hasn't practiced a lot. He's been hurt. And so this is really the first time that Arthur Smith got to see him in, real game speed. So he's like, hey, we'll try one for you and see how it goes. And if it doesn't work, then we're not going to, push for it again. If it could have gone for 27 yards, they probably would have tried at least once more, maybe the other side. But it didn't work, and they don't want to push it. But Bob, really quick, I wanted to say, were you happier with Calvin Austin's involvement on special teams?
Yeah, I thought a couple of times on the punt returns where I know he got clipped and he didn't break a big one, but I felt like he was close on both returns where he shifted, dodged, and basically got ankle tackled. So I was happy to see him back there. I think that's our best option as a punt returner, based on what I've seen. It stinks for Marquez Watkins that, okay, hey, I messed up and I fumbled a couple. Okay, whatever. But it doesn't matter. Bottom line is, especially with Mike Tomlin, you put the ball on the ground, it's going to
Oh
take a
yeah.
lot for you to get back there. And I like seeing Austin back there. I love the idea of Austin being our punt returner, Cordarrelle Patterson being the kick returner, because I do think he will break one. And that swing pass, right? That was a very effective play in Atlanta last year, but they didn't telegraph it. They didn't disguise it. You didn't have, or they disguised it better. You didn't have a quarterback just kind of sitting there and he took the snap and he just sat there and looked the whole time and waited for Patterson to kind of turn up the field and floated the ball to him. I put that more on Wilson than Patterson. And I also think at the same time, Arthur Smith was showing that, hey, yes, this pass is going to be in our offense, so you better pay attention to it. I think initially at the beginning of the season, when they make that loop and he loops down towards the sideline, what you really need to do is throw backside because everybody's going to be rushing to that swing pass, and it should leave either Freiermuth or Pickens on the backside wide open.
That would be nice, yeah.
And it's also the reason I think that they only ran that one read option, because everybody knew what was going to happen. I think they just wanted to see how is this going to look, and they were like, "Oh, like that bad? We need to work on this. Don't do that again." So yeah. I think there's and I also like that Arthur Smith was on the sideline. I know Matt Canada tried the big switch up there, but he seemed. And I don't know if this is true. I'm just going by body language. He really seemed in control and calm and didn't seem thrown off and didn't like go with the ebbs and flows. And so cameras are trained on him when he's up in the. I like what I'm seeing out of Arthur Smith to the point where whoever ends up starting at quarterback for us, it's going to be for the better of the offense and not because you started the Super Bowls.
Yeah, you can't. And again, just not to crush Russell Wilson. You can't float that swing pass. You have got to zip it.
Yeah.
And it, I mean, it took forever to develop. It took forever to get to him. I mean, honestly, I was kind of surprised it wasn't picked.
That's true. Now, yet again, you have to. I as much as I want to, put all the blame on it, the entire offense as a whole just was so inconsistent and played so poorly. That in Mike Tomlin's presser, he actually said there were only 3 things that he would give a positive to, and that was the net punting, Montravius Adams, and DeMarvin Leal. Everybody else got called out. Those are the only 3 positives.
Nick Herbig too. Don't forget.
Nick Herbig.
Mr.
Nick Herbig. Actually, yes, who said that being called Mr. Herbig by Mike Tomlin is a top 5 feeling in his life. And for anyone who didn't know, congratulations to Nick Herbig. It was his first presser. He had never been up on the dais to talk to people before, and he looked like he was enjoying it.
And this is a surprise because this is something Tomlin never does in press conferences, really call out individuals. But surprised that he did. Of course, this is a preseason. So, again, I
think it's important.
Yeah, it is important to do that. Yeah, guys.
Oh, and
well, I would say this. I want to sum up the offenses played tonight with the old John McCain line or John McKay line from Tampa Bay. What do you think? What do you think of your offense's execution? I'm in favor.
All for it.
Okay.
Because I gotta say, defense looked good. Ray, did you the defense?
The defense. The defense by far, I mean, they played excellent. Now, of course, there were some plays where they got gashed up the middle, with the run game, and of course the sweep around the ends. Yeah, they got tagged for that, but mainly they looked pretty good. Like I said, the defensive line, they was pretty stellar. Props to Killebrew on the interception, and again, and of course, Mitch Trubisky gave us a little present, with the interception.
That's true. And Bob, didn't you say like an episode or 2 ago that they were specifically looking to Killebrew to do something outside of special teams?
Yeah, that was. I think that was a big deal for him. I still can't see him as the third safety, but because of how great he is on special teams, if he can just establish himself as the fourth safety, as the emergency guy, not a liability back there, then I still think he's fighting with Ryan Watts. I feel like they spent money on
that safety spot,
yeah. They spent money on Deshaun Elliott. They got KZ under contract. They got Minka back there. I would be shocked if those weren't the top three. Killebrew, I think he's in the mix for that fourth safety, but I think Ryan Watts is in the mix for the fourth safety because I think, Zach, you mentioned in prep. I mean, it's pretty obvious he's not an NFL corner. He's great special teams guy, but I mean his future's at safety.
He's just too slow. Now I did like that Patrick Queen had a couple laces. I don't know who the running back was for Buffalo, but dude ran into a pile and just stopped like he hit a wall, and it just Patrick Queen pushing him out of the pile. And I just imagine him doing that. And that I love that. Patrick Queen is fired up, and he's doing what we got him to do, and he looks like he's really enjoying it. And whenever he did that, Landon Roberts was the first one to run out to congratulate him on that because those two really like playing with each other. So I like that. Darius Rush, I thought performed better than I expected him to. I thought he was Beanie Bishop a little bit for a second.
Yeah, I mean he had a couple nice pass breakups. The one in the end zone was borderline pass interference, but he kind of got away with it because he swung his head at the last second. But overall, I mean, I thought Rush played pretty well. Hated to see Peyton Wilson go off with a concussion. Hopefully, concussions are a weird thing. He didn't have concussion problems in college. That wasn't his injury history. So hopefully it's on the mild side, and but I would expect him to get some kind of special helmet. Didn't see Guardian caps out there. I know Jonathan Taylor made some news with the Colts with playing with one on. I would like to see that. Especially Pat Freiermuth, he needs to put one on. He's got a concussion history. Yep. I know he wears the big helmet. Put the Guardian cap on. I mean, if it were me, any guy who's had a concussion or gets a concussion, put the cap on him. I don't care how it looks. Put the cap on him.
Bob, you're right, but it's an ego with these players. There's an ego thing. But we got to think safety.
I didn't think it would be, but weirdly enough, Ray is right. Bob, I completely agree with you. I think everyone should be wearing it, but there was like all these articles about players struggling with how they're going to look when they wear it, and they're focusing on the run because James Daniels, I think that his quote was, "Well, talk to me in 10 years," because he's thinking 10 years down the road, and that's goodness gracious. But as we wrap up, we have Jalen Warren's the one thing I am concerned about. He's got a hamstring. We're gonna take a look at. Beanie Bishop didn't dress today. I am all for the conspiracy theory there because Mike Tomlin and Bob and everyone said it's because he was hurt. I think it's because of the performance and they're just waiting to find someone better than him. But we'll see how that goes. But how would you guys summarize the game to close it out?
I mean. Awful. I mean, but then again, it's a preseason game. Would I rather look awful in the preseason vanilla? I thought the defense did some good things. Here's what I'm really encouraged. I think our pass rush is beyond lights out. I think the rotation with Nick Herbig, TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, as good as TJ and Alex are, Nick Herbig is coming so fast that at this point, I would really rather just see, okay, you two guys rush this time. You rush on second down. Okay, bring in another guy third down. TJ, you forget he's going to be 30. So if you can give him a break, and TJ has been better the last couple of years about giving himself breaks because he plays so hard. I would like to see Alex follow suit. We don't have 4 pass rushers on the outside just yet, but we do have 3, and I want to see a nice rotation. I think Keanu Benton, I think, Cam, Larry Ogunjobi, Montravius Adams has done some nice things. DeMarvin Leal is probably, I think, could end up being that 4th edge rusher. I think we could really, really, really get a ton of sacks. I mean, we usually end up in the 50 range, but this could be a very special team where we end up with 60, 65.
I agree.
Zach, my take, the defense, yes, played lights out. Because it was a piss poor performance on the offense. The bottom line is the defense held Buffalo to 9 points. That says a lot right there. We can put points on the board.
Ray, you really can't count what happened in the second half. I mean, but at the halftime it was 3-3. I mean, it's preseason, so
That's
whatever
impressive.
whatever at half
Oh,
was. But bear in mind,
does anyone know why Josh Allen didn't play, by the way?
I don't
Uh,
think they ever said, but bear in mind, we held Mitch Trubisky to 3 points.
I just didn't know that.
hey,
Yeah, I mean, with our defense, I mean, yeah, holding Mitch, that's not anything to write home about. I thought we looked good, but it wasn't.
but Bob, as you stated earlier, Bob, we're rotating defensive players in and out. That's great. Keep a freshman in, keep the pressure on the offense to hold the 9 points. And again, it could have been a lot worse. The way Buffalo was running the ball, it could have been a lot worse. But
well, it would have been. Ray, bottom line is, it would have been a lot worse if Josh Allen were in the game.
True.
So you can't get too overly excited about 9 points in a preseason game when you're going against Mitch Trubisky.
I can, because again, the defense did what they're supposed to do, whether it's Josh Allen in there or not. Okay, well, yeah, I know.
Hold on. If you want to say the defense did what they're supposed to do, Ray, then they should have shut out Mitch Trubisky. They shouldn't have given up any points.
And actually, Mike Tomlin did specifically.
We've seen it.
Ray, you said it too. Mike Tomlin specifically said that it was down the stretch that that we gave up. He said the guys that they faded down the stretch, that they got tired, especially the young depth guys. So that second half, there was a lot to like in some parts, but especially in the front seven, that the young guys got tired, and they got tired quick, and Buffalo gashed us up the middle. So my biggest take is that I should not feel the same way after the second preseason game after I do after the first. I legitimately don't know who we are on offense. I don't know what our offensive identity is at all, if we're good, if we're bad, and that is concerning to me. So I don't know how we can treat the third preseason game like we would treat any other third preseason game. I think we have to legitimately go into it saying we don't know who we are yet and be honest about it. Because if we don't, that's going to show some tone deafness that I was hoping we put away with Canada.
Yeah. The good news is that Atlanta's front seven is not nearly as good as the first two we've played heading into the regular season. They're not terrible, but they're not the Buffalo Bills. And I think we saw just how good, for those people who thought Buffalo was going to take a big step back. I don't think so. I see them winning the AFC East if they can play like this.
I agree. Well, we got one more preseason left to go, so Ray, take us out.
All right. If you like this video, please, I forgot my script. If you like it, like, share, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe.
And click on the notifications that we will go on live and everything. Please, we want to hear from you. Send us an email, and again, subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear from you. And again, we will answer all questions. We'll give shout outs and everything, all of the above. Guys.
Yep, we'll have a longer reaction show here coming up in the next day or so.
Yep. So everyone, go Steelers.
Y'all take care.